Senator Mark Kelly didn't come to play politics. He came to expose the reality behind a trillion-dollar missile defense fantasy. The moment he asked Pete Hegseth the question that actually matters, can this system stop a real nuclear salvo? Everything began to unravel.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, I want to talk about the proposed Golden Dome missile defense system. There's a request to spend $25 billion in this year alone. First of all, is this system designed to intercept a full salvo attack?
Senator, it's a multi-layer system that would include different types of salvos. Obviously,
so it's not just Rogue Nation. Okay.
Well, it's meant to. Yes, it's not meant to be just one nation. It could be utilized in
against Russia and China, full salvo. So, what kind of reliability are you aiming to build into the system? Are we looking for something like 4 nines on intercept success? 99.99% reliability.
Obviously, you seek the highest possible. You begin with what you have and integrating those C2 networks and sensors, building up capabilities that are existing with an eye toward future capabilities that can come online as quickly as possible, not just ground-based, but space-based.
So against future capability too. So do you believe that we can build a system that can intercept all incoming threats? You think we could build that system? This is a very hard physics problem.
You would know as well as anybody, sir, how difficult this problem is, and that's why we put our best people on it. We think the American people deserve it.
So let me tell you what I think we're facing here. You're talking about hundreds of ICBMs launched simultaneously, varying trajectories, MIRVs, so multiple reentry vehicles, thousands of decoys, hypersonic glide vehicles, all at once. And considering what the future threat might be, it might even be more complicated than that. And you're proposing spending not just $25 billion, but upwards of, I think CBO estimated this at least $500 billion, other estimates $1 trillion. I am all for having a system that would work. I am not sure that the physics can get there on this. It's incredibly complicated. So I want to get to another issue that you're facing here. How much of the staff of the Office of the Director of Operational Test and Evaluation did you cut?
After collaboration, sir, with the service departments, the Joint Staff, and others, we identified that as a place where there were redundancies and multiple additional layers that were unnecessary.
I'll tell you what you cut. You cut 74%.
Most of it. That's what I was going to say.
Most of it. And was your decision to cut more than half of the Pentagon's testing and evaluation office staff driven in part by concerns about the office's plan to oversee testing of Golden Dome?
The concerns were not specific to Golden Dome, sir. It was years and years of delays unnecessarily based on redundancies in the decision-making process that the services, COCOMs, and the Joint Staff, together with OSD, identified as a logjam that was not helping the process.
To get the reliability we would need, you need something that's at 4 nines, 99.99% reliability, with all these challenges. And you cut the staff of the people who are going to make sure this thing works before we make it operational, before we give it to the warfighters. You got to go back and take a look at this. But I also strongly encourage you to put together before we spend $25 billion or $175 billion or $563 billion or $1 trillion, put together a group of people to figure out if the physics will work. You could go down a road here and spend hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of the taxpayer money, get to the end, and we have a system that is not functional. That very well could happen. And you're doing this just because the president, and I understand your role as the Secretary of Defense. You got to execute what the president says. But this idea, might not be fully baked. And you can get in front of it now and figure out and find out if you put the right physicists on this. And I'm not saying go to the big defense contractors. I'm going to scientists, and I know there's a questionable relationship with this administration and scientists, but go to some scientists, figure out what we would have to do to build a system, and then make smart decisions before we spend hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars.
Senator, we're doing that, leveraging existing technologies and not premising the project on aspirational technologies, what we can actually do, and would welcome.
Well, $25 billion in the first year is a lot of money. That's more than just figuring out if we have the ability to build a system that can handle a full salvo threat, hypersonic glide vehicles, MERS, thousands of decoys. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Senator Kelly. Senator Sheehy.
Senator Mark Kelly didn't enter this hearing to score points. He came to confront a defense proposal that sounds impressive in press releases but falls apart under real-world physics. Watching Pete Hegseth defend the Golden Dome missile defense plan is like watching someone insist they can build a ladder to the moon if you just give them another $1 trillion. Kelly starts with the simplest question: can this system intercept a full nuclear salvo? Not a single test missile, not a rogue launch, but a coordinated barrage from major nuclear powers like Russia or China. That question cuts through all the buzzwords. In a real scenario, hundreds of ICBMs launch simultaneously, each carrying multiple warheads, decoys, and hypersonic glide vehicles, all arriving within minutes. This is not science fiction. This is the physics problem the U.S. would actually face. Hegseth responds with vague language about multi-layer systems and integrating existing capabilities. Bureaucratic speak for, we don't have this solved, but we want the money anyway. Kelly presses, what reliability level do you need? Hegseth admits the system requires new perfect reliability, 99.99%, because missing even one warhead could kill hundreds of thousands. This is where reality hits. Even unlimited funding, talent, and patriotism cannot override the laws of physics. Kelly, a former astronaut, Navy captain, and test pilot, underscores the point. This is a physics problem, not a political one. Then comes the bombshell. The Pentagon cut more than half of the testing and evaluation staff, the very people responsible for confirming whether such a system works. Hegseth tries to excuse it, but Kelly lays it bare. Extreme precision, validation, and independent testing are essential, and the one office capable of that has been gutted. The U.S. could spend $25 billion this year, $175 billion next, $563 billion after that, and eventually over $1 trillion, only to discover the system may never work. Not from lack of effort, but because hypersonic weapons, decoys, multiple warheads, and simultaneous trajectories might make this shield fundamentally impossible. His message is clear. Stop. Consult scientists first, and validate the mission before spending trillions. If the science can't support it, the mission is just $1 trillion fantasy. Kelly warns Hegseth, you can address this now, or waste a colossal amount of taxpayer money on a system that fails when it matters most. When someone who has lived through the physics of spaceflight says it's impossible, you should listen.